do this so I can see. I'm gonna sit down so I can, because my mind is bad otherwise, I won't be able to see. Yeah, this is the book that Weasel worked with me to put together, Madness of Empty Spaces. It's dark poetry, which goes into ghosts and other little things that go bump bump. And it made a preliminary ballot for the Bram Stoker Award this year, which is the Horror Writers Association Award, which is very hard to get to the preliminary ballot, much harder as you can guess for the final. But preliminary ballot is bragging rights, so that's good stuff. It's also been nominated now for the Elgin Award, which is the Science Fiction Poetry Association's award. They give that out at the same conference where they give out the Hugo Awards, which is the big science fiction novel award, which is pretty cool, which is neat. So we'll see. And it's one. So I'm very pleased with a very nice presentation that they put together. The front and back are photographs I took, obviously manipulated. Hopefully you'll never see a bird quite like that. And it's a crow that was sitting on a pedestal in the Galveston Cemetery. And the Galveston Cemetery is I've taken a lot of pictures of it in fog and different lights and when the flowers come out in the spring and stuff like that. And a very cool place to go take photographs and get inspiration for dark poetry. And this bird was a very big draggled crow sitting on a pedestal, and I manipulated him to twist him around and made it even more weird. But so that's okay. I had fun with that. This book covers a whole bunch of different areas, and I'll read some other poems, some newer ones as well that I've been working on. What I figured with Weasel Press, so we've got to treat it like Girl Scout cookies. So we got to go out and try to get some things. All we have to do is sell 400,000 copies, and then we're in really good shape. And Weasel will be able to publish anything he needs to be, and then we're good. So go out there, and hopefully we've gotten some press off this a little bit at least, because he was sort of a loss leader for some of it, because you had to send copies to all these different writers around the country. But a whole bunch of them now know who Weasel Press is, besides me, of course, but they know Weasel, and I know he's been able to get on occasion some people submitting now, like Bruce Boston submitted one of his poetry books, and he's won 4, maybe 5 Bram Stoker Awards, and he's considered a Grand Master of Science Fiction Poetry Association, so it's cool, and the more of that he can get, as he upgrades. Very labor of love, which I really am proud of him for doing. So I'll start with some pieces of work in the book. Let's see if I can find something that sounds slightly coherent. I'll start with one that some people have heard before, but it's a fun one to read. And this is a light poem, so it's with a little humorous tinge to it. So it's called Old Wives' Tales. And I don't know if you've heard it, well, you'll hear it again. So Old Wives' Tales. Mama told me that if you drive under a train bridge with a train going over, you can make a wish and it will come true. So I made many, many, many wishes over the years, but always wondering if when I drive over a moving train, does the train get to make a wish? And if so, what really happens to all those wishes? Have any come true? Or did I just wish they had? And what wishes did the train make? And how does a train know if its wishes come true? If I don't know about mine, are they just wishes carried on an empty train? When I was a boy, almost a teen, my legs would ache at night, and as I lay in bed trying to sleep, Mama told me there were growing pains and would give me aspirin. Once she even rubbed them because it hurt so. But one night, lying in my single bed, having my own room for the first time because my next oldest brother moved out, cardboard over the one broken window, the one window that had been broken for years, so the tree roaches could not get in. No curtains, only large sunflowers painted by my aspiring artist brother on the glass to give some privacy. My legs aching again, I heard a noise in the apartment house next door. I looked out the window by my head into the kitchen upstairs to see a teenage girl's torso, tight white panties, belly button showing, firm muscular legs squeezing against the cleft of her vulva, fixing a sandwich, not knowing that the half-down blinds did not shield her. I knew I should look away. It's what Father Sexton would have told me to do. But my eyes were open and fixated, and I learned of other growing pains that night. Mama told me that lightning never strikes in the same place twice. She lied. It always strikes in the same place twice. It does it because it hits you in the first place, because of where you were standing. So you're an easy target for it, and nature loves an easy target. Which is why we have car wrecks the same week you lose your job, or why your house burns down the same week your dad dies, or why the electric bill is twice as high the month you're short on cash. It's just the way of it. It's just the way. Wishes speeding away on an empty train. I used to be afraid of black cats. My friend still is. She will turn around in the street before crossing their path and go around the block to avoid it. But I get tired of lightning and growing pains, of wishes carried away on empty trains, and I got tired of black cats. So now when one tries to cross my path, I gun the engine speeding toward it, daring it to taste my rubber. I'm not going to kill it, not really. I like cats really, but if the goddamn thing is going to cross me to bring the lightning, to take away my wishes with my growing pains, then I'm going to take the son of a bitch out with me. There you go. Thank you. Now again, this one is a science fiction poem. It's a little weird, what you might guess from being a science fiction poem. It's supposed to be funny, so I hope you'll find it that way. It's called One Too Many, and it was actually inspired by watching Star Wars in the bar scene one time. And you know, they have the multi-breasted women and with the strange heads and all that. So I thought, well, that'd be interesting about somebody being drunk in a bar like that. So, One Too Many. Drunk is seeing two eyes on a six-eyed Flovian, thinking that three tongues are better than one. Sense is so dull that the nipple lumps on her chest and her collared razor spikes look good in a G-string. Drunk is going back to her ship to meet her two dads and three moms, who are also her brothers, agreeing to drink one more toast of green wine from her layered lips. Drunk is saying, "Yasso," which means "I do" in Flovian. Being carried away to the bridal bed of thorns, unsure if I'm clear as to which holds which. To be sober on a Flovian plain, of rusting red and turquoise soil that slithers beneath my toes, respirator fused with my face, nano implants in my now telescoping eyes, focusing on three cephalopods running toward me, fangs dripping in ochre vapor, calling, "Daddy, Daddy, you're home." This one I had in here, and I've always liked this one, but I've never read it in public. It's called Palmetto Ghost. It's sort of a ghost story, sort of not, but I thought since it had the word ghost in it, I would read it. And it has to do with growing up in the valley, in the Rio Grande Valley, Brownsville, where there was this sort of legend of the last battle of the Civil War, which my great-great-grandfather was commander of the Confederate forces. So it was something in the family we always, talked up. Although now it's not politically correct to talk about, but we do it anyway, I suppose. I don't know. So whatever, it is what it is, what it is. I can't help it. My grandfather wasn't getting his comment. So anyway, Palmetto Ghost. The fog interlocking lace, snagged on the sharp fronds of short truncated palmettos, carries a hint of smoke dispersed in the moistness. Something was here once, something living, something dying, beyond the mute aloe vera and salt reeds, its essence still loitering on this small corridor between tidal flats. Caissons, wheels layered in mud, their engorged erections frustrated the dampness as blue coats and brass buttons, open to the heat, pulled against the suction of the sinking soil. I once found a one-page brochure at a roadside coffee shop near Refugio, advertising the wonders of the old battle site. Explore the last battleground of the Civil War, fought 1 month after the war ended. Printed in red and pink on blue paper, boasting of finds of cannon and musket balls. As if you could walk out on the incoming tide, deciphering rusting bits of metal from a century before a once broken conch and syringes walked in. The last of the good looting happened decades ago, when coffee and cotton ran to the now quiet port. The victors were cocky with Appomattox, looking for easy occupation, relieving candlesticks and silverware from the best houses. Weekend furloughs to Boys Town across the river. The first musket struck a boy in blue, his last letter to his mother still tucked in his chest pocket between his startled eyes. They reconnoitered in the shadows of the tide, the grass burning from the grape shot. The chloride plant sings at night like an electric Christmas tree. Bobbles and trinkets tingle with the flaring of ammonia and gas. Jackrabbit's spectral silhouettes embrace, forage the shadows for uncovered greenery. The smell of smoke rises with the dew. The veined corpses began to float in the ripples of oncoming current. Those living, hiding behind the remnants of sunken wagons. The dead kept pace with the living until the powder boxes were empty and a flaccid white flag was propped into view. The vanquished ones, in shoeless uniforms, emerged in the vapors enveloping the darkening forms and accepted their Pyrrhic march, ignoring the curses that the cause was already lost and the dead of the day, a vainglorious masturbation of death. It is a footnote, this low plain of the brine, clinging to mist of memories of tides and war. The grass grows in the winter and burns in the summer. The sea drags in the salt and shells, taking back the carcasses of the weak, empty in spite of this. Empty in spite of the chemical plants, two-lane road to the docks, the clumps of green cured by the waves. Empty except for the hint of smoke still kissing the humid night. Humid night, trapping a muffled cry of surprise of a call to glory, 1 month too late. This one is about going back. Oh, The Haunting. It's an early poem I published long time ago. It was published in the Stephen F. Austin magazine in 1970-something. I feel old, but anyway, as it goes, 1970-something. It's called The Haunting. It's not really, again, a ghost story, unless you want it to be. It's about going back after you've been gone from someplace for a long time. The Haunting. The houses are unchanged. They're still gray, peeling, rotting. Brown children in underwear still play in the water-filled potholes. I recognize a face. It passes by, not noticing me, forgetting the times we played football together in this graveyard of my memories amongst these ghosts. These are the same rusting cars. These are the same fat ladies sitting on their front steps in their nightgowns talking endlessly. Horror comes to me. There's nothing dead here. It all still exists. I am its memory. I am the specter risen from the dead. I'm going to get several of these in here as I go through. Nightmares of an old house. This is about the house I grew up in. It's a recurring nightmare of mine to dream about it after all these years. I'm 57. I dreamt of an old house, fractured glass and sweating on rough-hewn sills, dripping on the scarred yellow baseboards, tears in the woodwork. Temporary children played in the yard of dandelion snow, choking the remnants of uneven rows of vegetable garden. Sprigs of miniature carrots still fighting for the sun, playing in the darkness of the paw of a beast. Its foamy jaws open to devour these children of the weeds, a beast of cold eyes and hollow breath, lurking, stalking in the emptiness of their stomachs and the hopelessness of their hearts. I am haunted by this dream house, by visions of these children paled in the blue glow of a television, their warm faces flat against cool, puckered linoleum, watching Mr. Sullivan with his broad shoulders and black hair pointing to linen amidst the screams of a crowd. The children quiet in the meaningless of history. I dreamt of an old house walking through hallways of peeling paint, awed by the bareness of existence, as a crowd of red-faced children fight for space in a single standard bed, the soft coolness of the harvest moon exposed through broken curtains, the shadow of the beast resting on the framed tiles of the weathered roof. I am haunted by these children, arising from fitful sleep and slow procession to a large table of unmasked chairs eating bowls of hot oatmeal lumps floating in icy milk, the color of their cheeks straying like meat frozen in a box, the chuckling of the beast, a mild undercurrent to the flickering cartoon mice on the television. I dreamt of a beast in an old house, a skeletal father in a carcinoma bed, sweating stains on his sheets, his only legacy to the hunger of his children bearing his name. The beast howled in the moist night as Blue Coast hoisted the man into the black doors of a red-eyed bleeding car, the children sitting quietly on broken steps on the porch. Even though I awake in my bed a river of wet torn sheets and displaced pillows, I am haunted by this dream, the vision of children trapped in the ivory sharpness of this beast, laughing as he gnaws on their souls, laughing at me as I recognize their faces, their memories, like scars from an old wound. Okay. What I might do a couple of new ones.
Oh no, not the new ones.
Not the new ones.
You're gonna hit us with new work now?
Yeah, I've worked them out. I've read them before. And a couple of these are a little different. I'll read a couple of
Two new.
Yeah, a little Brownsville ones, but this one, I see if I can pronounce these properly. Now, this one I wrote, you're going to hear a bunch of Mayan names, and so I always wanted to capture the concept when you'll hear it, and went through it to try to make it. So it's all the gods in the game. When Watamak called the gods, they appeared on pedestals encrusted with lapis, gold, and ebony. Fierce talons and fangs, open in anger and revenge. He called Talak to bring the rains to envelop the tin-chested men with dark beards and brown eyes in a suit of black water. He invoked Shewa Tequatl to enlap up these men who spoke strange words in a fire like a dog in a bowl. He summoned Mitalakotili to teach the pagan ones who worship the three gods in one, the bane of the dark world. He ordered the 400 gods of the northern stars to collapse the pyres of heaven upon these rapists from the blue horizon. All the power of the pantheon to protect the most ardent of believers. Cortez brought a single sailor with smallpox. The gods went home.
Wow.
Okay, let me go get a couple more.
Yeah, a couple more.
No, I get it. That way you can get through this and watch them out. There are a couple of really long ones that I'm not going to read because they're very long, so I'll go from there. But let's see here if I got them ready today. Let's see, make sure I got this right. I'll do some of the wind down poems then. So I can get it. Let's see. This is fairly new. It's kind of a work in progress. I'll see if it works. It's called Papa's Shirt. If he left me anything, it was the shirt off his back. The one that clung to his cold frame, lying so still. The bleary-eyed moments of bent cigarettes and steaming coffee spilling on his front. Dry clean the black pinholes from the ashes made by the lingering blow on his handmade bugles, Cloroxed away. The cheap bourbon smell sweetened with the undertaker's own brew. If he left me anything to borrow, it was that frayed, wrinkled shirt, camouflage in a post-mortem mask. I have declined to share that fabric of his. That fabric of his life. Only the loose strings of memory interfere with the order of my dress. Let's see if this is another memory poem about a young man when we used to have milk delivered. A small handful of you will remember there used to be this strange guy in a white suit that wasn't coming to take me away. They would come in the mornings on Saturday or a different day and bring these glass bottles of milk and leave them at your doorstep. A profound concept nowadays. And this kid would come and bring them. Oh my God, old school. And this kid would come drink the milk. And we didn't know why until we kind of learned a little bit about it. So, you come up and see the pop. There's a paper pop that popped out of the bottle. It's called mosquito fog. A de minimis specter in the mosquito fog billowing from the DDT machine and the PUB truck, slowly prowling the empty, unpaved alleys. Sergio, spelled Sergio, but Sergio, steps up to the black steps of the still sleeping houses. lapping the tops of sweaty milk bottles, still in their racks to fill his belly, carefully replacing the paper caps. Sergio waits in the bushes, the prickly branches rubbing against his bristled scalp and arched back, for the maids to bring out the scraps of chorizo con huevos and tortilla, remnants of a well-fed house, leaving them in a wrinkled folded foil for the dogs. He bolts from the leaves as the screen door slams, grabbing the veneered saucer, then back into the rutted alley. Sergio, licking the small bits of egg from his lips and fingers, stops again at the half-painted house emerging from the dissipating cloud, rekindling a dull pain in his jaw and the rawness of a split in his lip. Sergio looks through the blur of the torn screen, smelling of rust and dirt, at the large figure on the linoleum in the kitchen inside, sprawled on his back, his face still embedded with the imprint of the floor, his hand extended, the one he exercises with the weight of a foam glass, still showing traces of red. Sergio walks back into the fleeting cover of a mosquito fog as a dazzling sun destroys the secret of his presence.
Yeah, you have time for one more.
Okay, I'll do one more. Don't want to overdo it. This one is, it'll be rather bizarre because I guess, well, I'll tell you what, I'll read a sentimental one. You want to hear a sentimental one? Because I actually can do that once in a while. And this is a very sweet sentimental poem. And it's been published.
It's more scary than your other stuff.
Well, yeah. Mother's fine razor teeth. No. This is called Mama's Cinnamon Strips. It's a good poem. It's a sweet one. Scraps of dough, the unused cut of the rim of a pie, Mama would re-roll them in her ardent hands in the slight moment between the boiling of a pan and the ringing of a time bell. She would flatten the new ball, cut long, thin ribbons, lace them with butter, sugar, and cinnamon, and lay them on a bent, blackened cookie crisp sheet, and let them rise in the heat of the oven. Katie and I would pace between the shuttling of steaming niblets, cracked plates, spotted glasses, a thick coated frying pan sizzling with smells, and watch the flavored dough come to life, the butter bubbling on the crust. Mama would shoo us away from the blast of hot air as the door creaked open. She'd reach in with her stained washcloth, lifting the edge, and set the sheet on a small pile of crumpled cloths, waving off her naive fingers from the burning metal. After the required time, after tending to a demanding pot, tending to a demanding roast, stirring a grumpy pot, and consoling a whining kettle, she would hand each of us 2 calico strips on a white napkin, her hands and brows soaked from the steam. We always ate too quickly, unaware of the meaning of the ticking of Mama's kitchen timer. Thank you.
Good.